Hello and welcome to a New Pace podcast. My name's Leslie, your host, and today my guest, who I am warmly welcoming, with our hoodie, our little jumpers and everything on today 'cause it's freezing, Tze Ching Yeung, who is an entrepreneur, and I've been so inspired by her over the years. And it's been a few years since we saw each other. We met a couple of years ago at an event, and yeah, it just feels really nice to have you on the show. So welcome, Sashing.
Thank you, Leslie. It's good to be here. It's nice to see you. Yeah, I can't remember when it was last time we saw each other, a few years ago, like you said. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's
let's
chat
talk.
then.
Let's
So
talk.
just as a general introduction, and you do so many different things,
Yes.
so I wouldn't want to butcher an introduction to then take forever to do. So how would you just generally introduce yourself? Like what do you do and how do you help people?
So I am the founder of We Disrupt Agency, which is a circular fashion strategist and also marketing agency. So we help sustainable brands build better brands for themselves and for the planet and for other people. I think that's as general as I can go. But yeah, so generally we are in fashion, we are in circularity, and we are in helping people build better businesses.
Yeah. Brilliant. And then you've got all sorts of things going on, like you're an author, podcast host as well, and all of
Yeah.
those sorts of things. So it feels like appropriate to think about kind of when I'm sort of thinking about this podcast and thinking about a new pace as a concept, what comes up for me is about taking time to pause when you need to, or other times when you kind of maybe just need to go. So those elements of pause, act, create, empower can be really relevant for people at different times. And that idea of needing to maybe take a new pace or a new direction can can happen for all sorts of different reasons. So with those different elements and this idea in general, is there anything that comes up as a general idea about stepping into a new pace for you?
Yeah, I think this happens all the time. If I look back to my life, it's always about stepping into a new pace, a new place, new country, new situations. I think that is how we grow, and I think that is how we also don't get stuck in the sort of everyday mundane and just I personally just need to move.
Yeah.
I am restless by nature. I need to move around. I need to see new people, experience new things, do new work. So recently I moved to Sweden. Not recently, now 2.5 years ago. And here I've already moved 3 times in Sweden in the last 2.5 years. We moved again just about 3 months ago. And each time there is a reason why we're moving. Like it could be that I wanted to be closer to nature. So this last move is because I wanted to be closer to nature. I wanted to feel more grounded. Wanted to have more space for me to just feel peace around me. And we're loving it. But then you don't know what happens next. Maybe
Yeah.
something else comes along and then we might move again. So, I mean, I've got 2 kids, so I think they're getting used to it as well. And I think it's a good lesson as well to be adaptable and move with life. I truly believe that we have to create new, just go with the flow, have a
Mm.
new pace in life sometimes and adapt.
Yeah. So it makes me think about the ideas of choosing to change rather than being forced to change. And actually, having that a balance of kind of like variety and certainty in your life. And there's some of the things we were before we were recording, we were saying about how some of our like the way that we've come together has been maybe on some of the teachings of Tony Robbins. And I always think about that kind of thing of the certainty versus uncertainty
Yeah.
and balance of, sustainable the same versus the change. So yeah.
I mean, I think sometimes you get forced into a situation, but I never feel like it's force. Even when you're forced to do something, you still have a choice, right? To
Mm,
be to make a choice. Okay, we are in a situation. Let's say, I don't know, if I run out of money I need to move, let's say, then I'm forced into a situation to move. But I still have a choice in terms of where and how and what to do, right? So you're never really forced into something. Even within that, you can still make your choices consciously based on your situation.
Mm,
So I don't believe in being forced to do anything. It's
yeah.
always, okay, it's leading me to do this now. It's almost like a signpost sometimes when you're forced to end a certain relationship, for example. It's like, okay, I'm forced to end this, but am I really? I still have a choice to do it or not. Or I mean, maybe the relationship is not a good example, but I mean,
Yeah.
it's just when you said force, I never feel like, okay, I'm forced to. It's
No.
I think we always have a choice, and we have to choose consciously based on where we are at that specific moment. And I think that's what a new pace for me is. It's about okay, where are we now? How do we make choices consciously to take the next step? And no step for me is permanent. It's
Yeah.
always like, okay, there is a new pace here, and we take the next step, and then we take the next step after that and see what happens. So it's not it's not such a big decision for me to make big changes in life because of that mindset.
Yeah, I was thinking that, your mindset and how you've been in your life brings about that kind of that frame, rather than, I imagine that there might be a lot of people that may like feel quite fixed and feel like that they can't kind of do things and feel quite disempowered by stuff. So have you has that mindset been something that have you always liked those changes and had that kind of approach, or has it developed over time, or
I think
what
it's
would you say?
always been there. I mean, I've always done the things that I believed in myself. I always followed, well, my purpose, the bigger word,
Yeah.
in a way. And sometimes that purpose, whatever that is, it changes over time as well. So I've learned to adapt a lot. No, I think I've always been like that. I've always followed. Some people have called me stubborn because I've always followed the path that I believe for myself, considering other people around me, of course, like especially when I have kids now, I have to consider what is best for them. So I always make choices based on where we are at the moment. So I don't make choices, okay, this is best for me. It's not about that. It's what is best for my situation. And at the moment, I've got pets, I've got kids with me. So that is my situation. Or if I'm now single, but if I was married or had a partner, I would make a decision based on our situation. No, I think I've always been like that. I always gone with the flow, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and sometimes I guess you make wrong choices. But it's never
Yeah.
the wrong choice. Like I said before, it's always a step towards the right direction, right? So even if it feels wrong, I never feel like, oh, that wasn't a good choice. It's always a good choice. Every choice I've made was a good choice.
Yeah.
I do believe that.
Yeah. So when I'm feeling good and when I'm feeling, my nervous system feels regulated, uh, I'm just feeling like calm and feeling kind of fulfilled and feeling good generally, and I've got the mindset tuned in. I can look back at my life and think, oh, actually, that wasn't a rejection, that was a redirection, or that wasn't that. When I'm feeling awful, I look back at my life and think, I've messed up my entire life and catastrophized the whole thing. And actually, like, my understanding is that um it's so easy to see, look at people and think, oh, they've got their life all sorted out and perfect, all their ducks in a row and everything, because they're maybe comparing what's inside them to what's out on the outside to somebody else. But then it's it's never really as kind of all or nothing as that. It's like there's maybe something in between. And like, I know for sure there are times when I just look back and think, maybe I shouldn't have even studied teaching. Maybe I shouldn't have been a therapist. And I do that. And like when I like I'd like to think part of me likes to think that everybody experiences that in some way, but then actually when I look truly at it and sort of go, oh yeah, yeah. So with I think just getting this general broad scope thing, has there been particular sort of pivotal points where you kind of thought, actually, this I know that this is going to work, but I've just got to sort of get through it or something. Can you give us an example?
What, that something is not going to work?
Maybe something that at the time you might have been thinking, I'm not sure how this is going to be, but I just need to, I've got some trust within me just to keep doing this sort of thing.
I think that's every day.
Right.
Actually, I don't think it's, I mean, there are good days, there are bad days, but every day is about, okay, well, we're here now. There's always something that we can do better, right? There's always, nothing is really perfect. And this is goes, it is why I love podcasting as well, when you can actually get dug into these questions. Sometimes I interview people who are very successful, or they're very wealthy, or they just from the outside look perfect, like you say. But when you get to those questions, what you're struggling with, what's the issues with your business, there is always something. And every day I wake up and I feel like, okay, although I'm grateful, I have to start with gratefulness and be happy with my situation. But every day is a struggle. Actually, struggle is the wrong word, but there is like every day I'm questioning, could I have done this? Could I do better with this? Could I have a bigger house? Could I have better clothes? Could I have better kids? Could I have a better job? Like everything, if you look at it, could be improved. So
Mm.
every day feels like, okay, what can I do better to change this situation? But with
Yeah.
gratefulness, like I don't think I wake up thinking, oh, today is amazing. Well, actually, I do in a way because I'm grateful for what I have. But I don't settle in that to think it's so perfect. And every day we find something to work on. I guess that is what I'm trying to say. Every day is, oh, this is so difficult. Life is so difficult. We have to pay bills. We have to do work. We have to manage this and manage that. We have to learn to drive. There are struggles every day, right? I think that it's just life.
Yeah.
I don't
And
think you can avoid difficult times.
yeah. And to me, when you were saying that, it makes me think about kind of having that desire for more or desire for growth and improvement rather than like gratitude just stopping where it is. So it's like we're grateful for what we've got, and that's all we're going to have because we're fully grateful and we're not going to make any progress. Whereas that striving to do more and to improve and to be like that a little bit better every
Yeah.
day, or to think like what could I do today to towards my purpose, to align with my purpose.
Yeah, I think it's that. I mean, when I moved to Sweden, for example, to take a more concrete example, I don't know how it's going to turn out. We'd been talking about it for a while with the kids, and I had to pack up the house, move the kids, take the pets. It was quite a big ordeal, and I had to do it by myself in a very short time. And they had to move to a different country, and we had no idea how it was going
Yeah,
to work out. But you just have to believe that that is the decision that was right at that time. Whether that was the right decision or not, we will see. We've been here for 2.5 years, and I think maybe the kids will leave Sweden. Maybe that this wasn't their perfect place, but it wasn't the. It was difficult for everybody to settle in, although it was exciting at the same time. You don't know until you do it, and that's how every day looks. You don't know until you do it. I experience new things every day. I don't know, and like I agree to do this podcast with you. I don't know, I could make a fool out of myself, who knows, or not. So it's about stepping in, just go, okay, let's see what happens, and believe that it's going to turn out for the best. Sometimes it doesn't, but it's always for the best. But sometimes it turns out not as you expect it to. Maybe stepping in without expectations might be a good way to look at things,
mm,
which I do quite often. So, okay, let's see how I'm going to take this job. Let's see how it works. But I don't think too much in advance of what I expect from it. It's more about experiencing it on a more daily basis. Of course, we have a plan, of course, but to experience it daily and see, oh, how does this feel? Does this feel aligned? And if it doesn't feel aligned, I do that with projects as well that I work with. If it doesn't feel aligned and I feel all anxious and stressed and everything, like something is not reading right, then take that as a redirection to rethink, okay, what can we change about this? And I think that's the work that I do on a daily basis. And when I don't stop to think and feel, then that is when things get a little bit out of hand. But if I can just take 10 minutes, 15 minutes in my day to reflect and go, okay, does this feel aligned? If it's not, how do we change that over time?
Yeah. So it feels like you were sort of nodding to that kind of element of like pause and act, sort of taking time to just really look within and kind of check in on yourself as about how things are. And then, that sort of idea of, does it feel aligned, or am I needing to just do the put the legwork in, do the things, even if I'm not feeling 100%, because I know, there is something that kind of feels right, and need to just do the work anyway. So
Yeah.
when people are maybe feeling not motivated to do the action, or like, or maybe like lacking confidence in something, and then think, well, I'd quite like to do that, but I just can't imagine where do I start, sort of thing. It doesn't feel aligned because nothing feels aligned. I come across a lot of people like that. What's your stance on that? Is it more about looking within, or would people do something else?
I think you have to know yourself enough to know if it comes with practice as well. You just don't stay aligned if you don't ask the right questions sometimes. So I think if it feels not aligned and if you want to do something, you have to go inside and ask, is it not aligned because you are scared or worried about what might happen? Or is it not aligned because it's against your values?
Right.
I think if you ask that, then you need to take time to really ask that honestly. Why does it not feel aligned? And I do that sometimes, like, oh, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. Is it because I'm worried about making a fool out of myself? Is it because I am worried that I might actually succeed with this? I've done this before where I know that if I do something, it's going to become so big and it's going to keep me super busy. And I'm worried about it succeeding in a way because I don't want to be that super busy at this point in life. It's like, oh, I don't want to do it because I'm worried about the success of it. So that can sometimes happen. So you have to really know, and then you can make choices consciously based on what you know. Then rather than go, oh, I don't feel aligned, I'm not going to do it. Why do
Yeah.
you not feel aligned? Is it because of fear? Is it because of worry? Is it because it's misaligned with your purpose and your values? They're very different feelings, but they feel quite similar in the body. But I think once you just quiet down and just think about it carefully enough, and ask those questions, what is it? What is it? This is what I do, like on a daily basis. If I don't feel aligned, and I don't make decisions when I don't feel aligned. If
Mm,
something is stressing me out and I don't know what it is, I tend to take the time to make the next step, because I don't want to make a decision based on if it's fear, or I don't want to make a decision based on fear and lack. I want to make a conscious decision where I go, okay, I know what it is now. All right, then let's move.
yeah. Yeah. So I suppose, just thinking about some of the things that idea of looking, is it aligned? No, it's not aligned. Or is it, or does that mean that I just don't do it at all? Or is it that it is aligned, but I'm just really scared, and I've
Yeah,
just got to do some hard work, and that's going to mean some changes in my life.
yeah,
And it's easier sometimes to go, well, it just doesn't align with my values. It just feels unethical to do that. And like, no, actually, you can probably change some things about it, so it fits better. But then, yeah, it's like, what's our excuses versus what's our reasons? I'm
exactly.
guilty of that for sure, for some things.
Yeah, I think we all are. We could say, I don't like that so easily, and then you don't go and then you don't do it.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it. But I think the thing is like, but why? Why do you want to do it? What's the real reason why you don't want to do it? And sometimes we're so busy, we're like, I don't want to do it because we're worried about something rather
Yeah.
than it's not actually aligned. It might be well aligned, but you're just at that moment don't feel like doing it because you're scared of something. Or
Yeah.
so yeah, it's taking the time to really reflect, and I think it's a habit that we sometimes get out of, and that's when stress comes. For me, that's when stress comes, when I don't realign myself on a daily or at least weekly basis. Then you follow a path that you're just following that is easy, and then further down the line that easy path actually becomes harder, rather than taking upfront harder path that is more aligned, and then eventually it becomes easier.
Yeah. So what are the sort of things that you do sort of personally to get yourself realigned or more grounded or whatever it feels like?
Sometimes I am guilty of not doing it because you
Yeah.
get so busy. I wake up and there's the kids and the pets needs to walk and it's work, and but it's as simple as journaling. It's as simple as allowing myself to sit 5 minutes by the fire and just have my tea and think, what is it? Or it could be talking to a friend, a non-judgmental close friend, not somebody who's going to give me lots of their opinions and actually steer me in the wrong direction, but like a friend who truly listens. Or I guess you could also go and see a therapist. If I don't go and see a therapist, but you could do that. It's just rethinking and reframing and constant. I go for forest walks.
Oh
Actually,
yeah.
I do that quite often, and whenever I do that and take the time to walk, initially it's always a chore. But eventually when you get into it, I've got the forest right behind the house here. Um, you do. I switch everything off and just walk and think, what is it? And then thoughts will come, and just listening to your own thoughts, I guess, in a way, and think about things, and it's just allowing the time to settle and feel grounded and be grounded. I think that's the best we can do. And I also do a lot of I've started doing Tony Robbins priming actually recently, because
Mm.
I have felt that I needed a quick routine in my morning to just feel more grounded. So I started doing that. So there's lots of different things that you can do, I think, to feel more grounded, and it's building those habits. I'm not a habit person, but I'm trying to build better habits. But like allowing the time to just do little things, doesn't matter if it's 2 minutes of a coffee, 5 minutes across the road. I've got a beautiful lake here 5 minutes away, so that could do it for me. Or I need a longer walk, then I go for a long walk for 2 hours, or do Tony Robbins priming. It's all about realignment and just being grounded, because when we are up here all in our head and being thinking about what the worries and everything that we need to do, it's hard to stay aligned.
Mm. Yeah, a lot of that's like about maybe knowing you seem to really know what fits for you, and for somebody else it's like knowing help it for them to get to know themselves and get to know what sort of things are useful or not useful, whether feeling kind of getting into a routine of doing journaling every day might feel too overwhelming for somebody, or it might feel that it doesn't maybe match because they might not want to have that routine of doing it, whereas they might want to do it in a more less planned way, in a more intuitive way.
Mm.
And yeah, I like the fact that no no one person needs to do the same thing.
No, and no one day needs to look the same.
Yeah.
To me, some people work really well with a strict schedule of X, Y, and Z that they do every day. For me, I cannot function in that way, and I know that. So I need to have a lot of flexibility in terms of how I manage my day. A little bit of schedule, but with flexibility within it is important for me. But
Hmm.
then I work from home, so that gives me flexibility that I could not have if I was working a 9 to 5. So whatever works for you, right?
Yeah. So just moving on to our next point of like in the pace model is about create, is the word create. So I mean I'm an artist, art therapy kind of like sings creativity, and a lot of that is about kind of making art. But for sure not, it's not always about the art making. So when you think about sort of your own creativity or what being creative and what creating means for you, where would you start?
I think creativity, it's very broad. It's not just about making art, it's the way you
Yeah.
look at the world. I mean, sometimes I can go out and like, if I go out to the forest and I notice something and I take a moment to appreciate and look at the shape, and then I create a visual image in my mind. It's like I saw a little cave the other day underneath a root, and I'm like, oh, I saw these little gnomes in there, and I saw little mushrooms in there. I mean, they were mushrooms in there, and then I created this visual image of this little world. Like, it doesn't have to be a tangible physical thing that you create. It could be just something you have in your mind. It's a way to think about the world, right? How creative in the way that you look at things. Are you appreciating the little things and creating stories around it? It's all in the mind, I think, initially. And I mean, creativity, I miss it also.
Mm.
I don't spend enough of time just to wander around in my own mind or create something or paint or draw. I get too focused on my work sometimes. I'm a little bit of a workaholic. But that's because I'm really super passionate about it. But I went to an exhibition. It was a Picasso exhibition, actually. I haven't been to a gallery for so long. And this was an exhibition just showcasing his later work. And some of the paintings I had seen before, but I just didn't. I just went there by myself. I took the bus down. It took me a good hour to get there. I'm like, why do I want to go? It was the opening of the exhibition. I was like, I don't want to go. Oh, can I be bothered? Anyway, so I ended up going, and I loved it so much. Whilst I was looking at all these paintings and the drawings, and they had some etchings, my body I just wanted to grab a pen and start to create. I felt so creative. I don't know, it's a feeling. You probably understand that feelings like,
Yeah.
yeah, I just want to create. And I felt so inspired to create something, to paint, to draw. And I haven't felt that for so long. And it's such a beautiful, like, I was looking at the paintings, I was admiring every single stroke, every single line, and thinking, oh my God, how do you do this? It's like, it was this immersive admiration of the work. It could have maybe been anybody else's work. I don't know. I was just in that moment, just like, wow, this is so beautiful. This is so cool. I mean, I don't know if beautiful was the word to describe some of the paintings, but they're very kind of vulgar as well. The ones that we saw. Um, but I had this sense of like, I really want to create. I really want to do something. And I think it's capturing that feeling. I didn't get a chance to actually paint, but I could have just easily just like started painting. If I had an easel out, I would have just gone and painted. And I've experienced this many times in my life. I remember going into an art class one day after a great night out, going into this painting class, and I'm like, I just want to paint. And I grabbed some paint and just started painting. And it doesn't really matter, I think, what the end result of the work is. It's just that feeling, that expression of that creation of, it could be pencils, it could be a collage, it could be paint, it could be writing, it could be just sitting, imagining things.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, creativity, I think, is a big part of my life every day, but not actually creating bit I'm missing at the
Yeah.
moment. And it really triggered me the other day when I was at the exhibition. I'm like, oh, I just need to paint.
Mm.
It's such a nice feeling. I was like slightly frustrating as well. And that's when I realized how uh, out of creativity I was. Like I felt it so strongly. I knew it's like, okay, I need to tap back into that. And I think it's important to tap more into that on a daily basis if possible, or at least a regular basis, if not
Mm.
daily. But we create all the time.
Yeah, this is it, isn't it? It's like the, you know, being creative in like different ways of thinking and different ideas and development stuff compared to, you know, the physical act of painting, the physical And I think they can almost be two different categories, but merged into one. But
Yeah.
it sounds like what you know, you experience something in that moment, that being present fit with the physical artwork in front of you, seeing the paint, seeing the brushstrokes, seeing the size of it all, and then thinking, actually, I imagine that they might have painted to the side or upright, or imagine that that might be lots of little lines, and then just imagine yourself with that paintbrush in your hand. You're like, we've got this urge to do that.
Yeah.
And I say sometimes you can do that, but like literally pretend that you've got this paintbrush in your hands and you could do that in front of a painting in a gallery.
Yeah.
And that might kind of give you some sort of joy and some sort of presence. And then it's like, oh, actually, it keeps coming back. I need to paint. If
Yeah.
it keeps coming back, it must be important. One of my tutors once saying that,
Yeah.
that, yeah, it
I mean,
makes
I did
this,
that a lot when I go through difficult times, actually, when I was getting divorced. I don't even know how many years ago, kind of like pushed it out of my mind. 6, 7 years ago, maybe now. I don't know. Like the whole process was a bit dragged out, but I did paint a lot because I think the one thing that physical creation does is that it puts you so much in the moment
yeah,
that you can't, it helps you process. So I was doing like a creative journal. So I was just added lots of paints and drawings and collage, whatever came to mind, but I was also writing on top of it and affirmations on top of that, making myself feel good in the process. You know, like just being in the moment of creation. I think that's the thing that I'm sometimes missing, being so present, because you can't really create or paint. You can, but after a little while, it's a bit like walking in the woods for me. Like
yeah,
you have to become present. It nudges you to become more present in the moment of being there and just painting. And, you know, it's quite therapeutic in that way.
yeah. So you really like when you go for a walk and you really take time to just walk slowly through, and like you notice there may be movement of the leaves and the details of those things. It's so different, isn't it, to I'm going to walk through the woods to get to the shop.
Yeah,
Like, you know,
exactly.
the function is then to get to the shop and then come home with your things. Equally, like the function of a painting be, um I want to make something that looks exactly like that. It's like, well, actually, there you go, it looks exactly like that.
Yeah,
Or I want to make something to really help me relax or to energize me. And
yeah. Or express something in some
yeah,
way. It could just be a dot of green that for you could have a strong meaning. That is enough. It doesn't have to be something like super elaborate for it to be an expression of your creativity. I think, I mean, I quite like minimal art on that line. What does that mean to everybody else? Means nothing. But for the artist, could have meant so many things, right? And when you understand the connection, the story behind it, it's like, oh, I find that
yeah, yeah,
fascinating, like the story behind the artwork.
yeah. And it sounds like that actually, you know, you doing your creative journaling, like bringing in those layers of different things, was super helpful in that moment.
Yes.
And yeah, it makes me think about how, you know, having those practices and doing those things, and you know, doing the priming and doing all of those sorts of things as a regular basis, compared to doing something proactive as a response to, I'm feeling like this, I need to nourish myself in this sort of way. And as someone who, I'm with you on the, I'm not so keen on having like a really set routine and set habits, but some people might really struggle to kind of know what it is that they're sort of doing, sort of thing. So where do you get that balance between having a habit and having just, we're just going to do what feels right?
Um, I think, I mean, this is something I'm working on every day. I haven't quite mastered it yet. But what I do know that if you do have habits of, let's say, if I do the priming first thing in the morning when I wake up before the kids wake, like today, my daughter came in right in the middle of it. I'm like, okay, I should have done it earlier. So I can plan for that, and I can maybe start to prime a little bit earlier before I know that anybody's going to be awake. And then after that, I can go with the flow a bit more because I've already done the set thing that I need to do. And I think that's what people utilize exercise for. They feel like they've already achieved what they need to achieve first thing in the morning if they go to the gym, and then the rest of the day
Oh
they can
yeah.
handle it much better. And I think it's about finding the balance of, okay, what are those things that I need to do every day? And if you get it out of the way first thing, then you have a much more flexible day to deal with unexpected circumstances, I think. But if you start your day with stress and everything is up in the air all day, every day, and then and then you go to bed and you start it again, and then you very easily get out of loop. So I think it's finding those touch points in your day where you just tune back in. Okay, I just have a cup of tea at 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
That's enough. It's little things, right? It doesn't have to be a 3 hour exercise session. It could be, okay, 10 o'clock, I'm going to have my cup of tea. Like a
Mm.
simple routine. If you, this is what I try to build it into my life, because I'm not good with routines. I'm not good with habits historically. So what are those little routines that helps me deal with other things that are out of routine? Like, because I'm very much go with the flow and see what happens, but I'm learning more and more to strategize my day a little bit better.
Yeah. That it's yeah, I'm just thinking that like some of those things that I would do, I wouldn't necessarily acknowledge as being a ritual or being kind of part of the structure, but actually they are like that, like my morning coffee and things like that, that like makes a big difference. Whereas if I was doing it with more intention of saying, actually, this is an intentional thing that I'm doing here, rather than it just being a natural habit that is kind of being ingrained, then that I'd imagine that that might feel different, that I might feel a bit more sort of purposeful for the rest of the day. Do you see that for people or?
Yeah, I think people go through their days. What's that book? I'm trying to think of the book that Joe Dispenza wrote about how to get out of the habit of being oneself, or something like that,
Oh,
those exact words. But this
yeah,
is what this is about. It's like creating those little habits intentionally rather than going through your day just being yourself every single day without thinking about it. So people go through these habits, right? Like I'll brush my teeth, I have my breakfast, I have a very set routine of the day, but they haven't actually chosen consciously in a way to do these things. They just follow the routine of the day, and they go to work and then they do this and they come home and and that to me is too much. And that to me, I think it's about consciousness.
yeah.
Like choosing consciously, okay, okay, it's 10 o'clock, I'm going to choose to have that cup of tea. Or could I actually, instead of having that cup of tea, maybe I have hot chocolate today just to get a little bit out of routine, but I'm still in the routine. So it's a bit tiring to constantly having to be conscious, but I think it's good to sometimes stop, even when you are following your routine, to go, okay, how can I do things slightly differently today? I do that sometimes when I brush my teeth. I go in like this, but sometimes, okay, I'm going to do it with my right hand,
Oh
and I
yeah,
do that. So you can still change your routines a little bit so that it becomes a bit more conscious and a bit more purposeful, even
yeah.
simple things.
And really about making that choice as to what you're
Yes.
doing and why and when and
Yeah. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
smallest of things.
Yeah. It's just a habit of rethinking things all the time, I think. And,
Yeah,
sometimes you don't have the energy to, and you just float, and that's fine too. You just go from one thing to another, and this is what I do every day, and that's fine. Because sometimes that's all you need. But then
yeah,
some moments, glimpses through the day that you can choose more consciously. Like, oh, maybe
yeah.
I don't eat that thing today. Maybe I eat something else today just for fun. It needs to be a little bit more fun. And this is where creativity comes in.
Mm,
We create our daily life. That's why we're all creatives. In your work, of course, you're
yeah,
creative, but in my work, I also create every time I coach one of the founders. We come up with ideas, we create together. Every time you kind of speak to somebody, in a way, it's a creative pursuit to have a conversation. Um, yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And I mean, when you were saying about how you miss it, I find myself sort of going, actually, I'm making art all the time. Like sometimes it's to as a way of regulating, sometimes it's a way of expressing something, sometimes it's a way of like teaching somebody else or working alongside somebody. But what I don't always do is make art as an artist. And I do it and I don't do it, and I do it and I don't do it. And I think what I'm probably aware of, rather than it not happening, is the intention behind it. So if I'm making something and the intention is just to start mindlessly doodling while I'm watching TV, then I'm aware that that's not me as an artist going all in and like really in flow with the art. And instead of thinking, because I had people going, well, you make loads of art, you've got art all of you all and everything like that, and they would challenge that to some extent. However, actually, from what you're saying, this makes sense because I'm just aware of like the reason for me making art and why I would make art at different times, and then make an intentional choice to sort of go climb the stairs to my art studio, which is like me maybe stepping into me being an artist. It's very different
Yeah.
to me as an art therapist. So I love that take on it.
Mm.
It fits
Mm.
so well with so many different things.
Mm.
Maybe
Yeah, I
other
think
people
intention is important, right?
yeah, because I think it could fit with people, exercise and people's habits like that. And are you exercising fitness, or are you exercising because you're training for an event or something? Or is it that you're going because you just love the social part of it and the connection?
Yeah, yeah. It's about understanding why and setting that intention um, of the day or every time you do something. Or not every time you do something, but whenever possible, just
Yeah.
set clear intentions. And I think it's the same in the business. I often say that to my mentees or my clients. It's like, why are you creating this brand? So I work a lot in fashion. So we don't need more clothes, but why are you doing this? So they have to set the intention for their business as well, like, and then be able to communicate it. What's the reason behind it? We really don't need more clothes. I mean, we have enough clothes to clothe us for another 6 or 7 generations, even if you stop producing anything now. So I think it's very important, the intention of what we do. What's the intention with your podcast? What's the intention of everything that we do?
Mm. Yeah, yeah, I really appreciate that because I know, like, you were asking me, like, are we gonna have questions? Is it gonna be more freestyle? And part of me was kind of having this, like, almost kind of like, but then almost it's like actually, like, kind of whether should I have more structure? Is that aligned with me, or is it better for what I want to do to have something that's more freestyle and more intuitive and more responsive? And actually, through those questions, and other people have asked, like, if there's questions in advance and things as well, and that it's really helpful to have that because it has helped me to then think, what is it that we're doing here, and what's useful, rather than what am I doing something because other people do it like that way. So yeah, I appreciate that. It's just kind of like context of our organizing behind the scenes a little bit.
Mm.
So leaning into like the E of pace, it's the word empower, and this can mean so many things at so many different times for so many different people. So what does it mean for you? Do, what does
Empower?
empower
Oh, that's a
or
tricky one.
feeling empowered?
Feeling empowered, I guess, is having the confidence to do the thing that we intend to do. I'm going back to intention.
Yeah,
Um, I think it's a confidence thing. I don't know if it's a confidence thing because I think it's a confidence thing. You really need to have the confidence to push forward, to do something. Empower for me, it's something related to, maybe it's wrong, but like it's something to do with doing, feeling. It's also a feeling, but ultimately, if I sit and just feel empowered, is that enough, or do I feel empowered to do something? Do we
Yeah.
have to? And then I guess the question arises like, do we have to always do something? Could I be empowered to do nothing?
Ah, yeah.
It's a feeling
Yeah.
for sure. But then what it leads to, it depends on what your intention are, or what your intention is, I guess.
Yeah. So, and then, we define doing sort of
Yeah.
thing. We get into all of that. It's like
Yeah.
empowered to make the choice
Yeah.
about what actions you're making.
Yes.
So, like, yeah.
And
So,
also not taking an action is also an action, right? Or
yeah.
not making a decision at that time is also a decision. And I think empowerment is very much to have the belief in self, um, to the trust in self. Like if I feel empowered, I know that I'm making the decisions that is right for me. When I feel empowered, I know that I trust that I'm doing the right thing, that I'm feeling aligned with what I'm doing. So I think empowerment it's a very broad term, but I think it's a feeling of trust, the feeling of self-belief, and also self-love as well. Because if you don't love yourself and you speaking badly, or you're not going to feel very empowered, are you?
Mm,
It's
yeah,
all
of
that's
course.
connected.
Yeah. And that's sort of, you know, on the flip side, or the double side of this, of empower, like to empower rather than to feel empowered. Um, my guess is that sometimes people can find it easier to empower others, but might not feel empowered themselves. And
Yes.
I'm wondering, in the work that you do, how much of that is about empowering people, or
A lot, because I work with a lot of new founders of businesses, a lot of in sustainability space, a lot of fashion founders, accessories, and so on. They feel pulled towards starting a where there is a social enterprise, where there is environmental impact or social impact. They started starting these businesses because they want to make a difference in this world. So, but sometimes the moment of starting it, they feel empowered to do so. But sometimes they lose that during the process, especially a couple of years in. They don't feel connected anymore. And that's when sometimes when they speak to me as a coach or as a client, so sometimes I help them with services as well, but sometimes I coach them. That is when I help them reconnect that sense of purpose and what they're doing, and also give them a little bit of a kind of roadmap of the next step. It helps empower them again to move forward. So, and they have said that is even if we catch up once a month or once a quarter, it helps them bring them back in alignment, and that in itself feels empowering because I believe in what they do. Everyone that I work with, I believe in what they do. Because if I do not believe in what they do, when I don't trust that they can do it, then I'm just wasting my time, right?
mm,
So I believe in them, I trust that they can do this, and I help support them in what they want to achieve in terms of impact. In that case, when they feel disconnected and not so empowered, they feel stressed and they're managing a lot of things, they borrow that my trust in them and they borrow my confidence in them, and I also give them the strategies in how to manage that. And sometimes it's a very simple thing, then they find their own empowerment again. It's not about me giving it to them, it's almost reconnecting the dots so that they find it within them again, and then they can move forward with the roadmap that we build together. So I'm
mm,
just there sort of guiding them through that process quite often.
yeah. Oh, that sounds. I just can imagine people, like relaying their intention, their purpose, their mission, their passion to you, and then you kind of actually, yeah, I get it, I get this, and then maybe a few weeks or a few months later, they're maybe feeling a bit like, oh, this is a slog, I'm not sure about this, and then you sort of going, actually, this is important, this is why. And I
Yeah.
love that, for that sort of co-creation, and almost like that, like yeah, that yeah, it feels really powerful. I was thinking about sort of co-regulation as well, or you're sort
Yeah.
of going, actually, it's worth keeping going with this.
Yeah, and I mean, we're building a platform at the moment called Circular Fashion 360, where we actually want to bring together lots of global fashion founders together to work together in a community. Because what we see is a lot of our founders that I work with, they feel somewhat isolated in their own pursuit. And they feel stressed because it's a difficult thing to do to start a sustainable fashion brand because so
Yeah,
many things going against them. I mean, there are
yeah,
regulations supporting them now, but they have to do things the right way because they're very much in tune with their values. But then the business side can sometimes suffer. And there is a lot to manage. You have to manage the business, you have to design things, you have collections, you have to sell, and it's a lot. So sometimes you get lost within that, and that's when you lose alignment with your brand. And that's when I come in and I kind of support them in that way to realign, and then we build a map together because it has to be a co-creation. It's not my business, it's their business.
yeah,
So I'm building a community now when actually they can all work together, and having that community with the same core belief, the same values is very powerful because it's about people going together towards one certain specific goal. It becomes a team sport and you can empower each other because sometimes you get lost in the doing and you lose the bigger vision. But when you have other people around you supporting you with a bigger vision and everybody going together, it can become very, very powerful.
yeah. That makes sense. And it fits a little bit with one of the questions that I had kind of planned in my shall I plan some questions thing about that individual action versus sort of a community action and sort of the global and organizational aspects when it comes to things like environmental issues, when it comes to like something as simple as putting out the recycling or shopping kind of from a charity shop or something like that. And there's times when I kind of I'm really well, I can do my bit, and that's as far as my realm of control goes. But then there's times maybe where sometimes people might go, so I don't really know what I can do. So when somebody's maybe like then joining as a community and joining together, does that kind of make a difference in what people can do individually, would you say?
Of course. And I think we as humans are social beings.
Yeah,
When you do in isolation, it's really hard, and you need to find other people around you that help inspire you to do more sometimes and help inspire you. That's why Facebook groups are so powerful.
oh yeah,
They're still there because there is a community doing the same thing, having the same vision, and they're talking about the same topic that you care about. And it really helps because sometimes we get bogged down with daily life. And in terms of, like you say, putting recycling or shopping from secondhand, I've been doing it for almost 8 years now. I haven't bought anything new for 8 years
yeah,
because that's the thing that I believe that I can control. And what happens in the industry, so I've been in the fashion industry for 20 years, um, almost 20 years, 19 maybe.
yeah,
Um, there's a lot of frustrations. There is so little, things haven't changed in the last 19 years, and I've been working very actively in this space. So I'm still consulting big organizations. We're trying to clear like the Atacama Desert in Chile now, or we're talking to Ghana. How do we sort out the 115 million garments that lands in the country every single week? Like, what do we do with these bigger numbers? It can become frustrating and it can become overwhelming. But what can I control? Okay, well, I can control me not going into a normal shop to buy clothes. I can
yeah,
control how I consume. So that is empowerment. Every time you do something for yourself that you are within your control, you are building your own confidence in how you live your life, right? Because some things we can't control. I can't control what's happening with everything that gets imported into this country and dumped on the oceans. I can't control that. Sorry. I mean, I don't, I would love
yeah,
to, but I can't. So what can you do? But when you get into a group with people um, together in a community, you create bigger visions.
Mm.
So that's when, so I for myself don't buy any new clothes, but I consult and I work with other people in the community where we are looking at larger scale change. And I personally could not do that. I can only do that within that community, with those people that is in that community. They inspire me to think bigger in terms of what we can do together. But I think you need to know your own sense of purpose and what your red line is through your life. Has been my sense, my kind of red thread going through everything that I do for the last 20 years, how to reduce textile waste and how to make the planet cleaner. How, like that is the red thread that's gone through everything. So starting from me not buying anything to trying to clear a whole country of waste, to me is the same work. But
Yeah,
some things you need to do, some things you can do in isolation, some things you have to do with the community around you. So there's
yeah,
space for both.
yeah. And I'm just thinking that like with everything that we've been talking about, like my brain's going into I need to do loads and loads of journaling from from this today and just really like lean into like what's like review those things. And like one of the things when we met, we were doing that values elicitation exercise, and like what was mentioned at the time is how important it is to keep doing those sorts of things. So thank you for that little nudge, you. And just as a way of sort of wrapping things up and coming to sort of the end of this podcast, is there sort of like how would people find you, sort of like if they were wanting to sort of learn more about what you do?
WeDisruptAgency.com is my website, but that's changing gradually. So for on a more personal level, hello_TC is my Instagram. So you can follow me there. For my work, We Disrupt Agency on socials. LinkedIn is my name. I'm sure you're going to put it somewhere.
Yeah,
PZECHINGYEUNG, so you probably need to see that written out. You can connect with me there as well. So I talk a lot about, in my work, sustainability, circularity, how to make the world better and cleaner, and using really fashion as a tool to make a positive impact, environmental impact, social impact, financial impact. Those are the core areas that I talk about in my work, and I guess also in my private life as well, through that red thread.
yeah. And just to, do you have any final sort of words to just words of wisdom to share?
Words of wisdom. Um, Stay in alignment. Take the time to think about what is aligned with you based on your own values, and get out there and do it.
Love that.
Believe in your vision and just follow your vision, and you don't need to know how it comes. The more you do, the how will come. I really believe that. Sometimes we have a vision of doing something, we get scared of how it's going to happen, but we don't know until we start doing it. There is no roadmap to like a clear to our goals, really. It goes up and down and around and in circles. So yeah, so just go and follow your vision and go and take the first step.
Fantastic. And yeah, this has been brilliant talking to you, not just on a podcast level, but on a personal level to find time to catch up. So thank you for coming along. And thank you everyone for listening. We've been doing the New Pace podcast, and this is your opportunity to step into a new pace. Bye bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.